Broadcast from the Final Call Administration Building. Our featured speaker is Minister Louis Farrakhan, National Representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And brothers and sisters, we want to move right into the broadcast this afternoon. We have a special broadcast. I'd like our brothers and sisters who are in the radio audience to please call a friend, a neighbor, a relative, and tell them that we have a very special broadcast on this afternoon. We have with us two sisters from Philadelphia, Sister Leverne Sims, a former M.O.V.E. member and sister of Brother John Africa, and Sister Louise James, who is also a sister of Brother John Africa and a former M.O.V.E. member, who is going to give you a report on the events in Philadelphia centered around M.O.V.E. After they speak this afternoon, you will hear from Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, who will close the meeting out. So we want our brothers and sisters who are in the radio audience to make sure you call someone to tune into this broadcast this afternoon. Before we introduce our first speaker, I would like to make a special announcement. We're making this announcement to our brothers and sisters who are in the Chicago area that the fundraiser for the Bobby Wright Mental Health Center that serves the black community of Chicago, and with all of the stress and the mental problems we got, we need to support that center. As you know, there's been a cutting back on funds, and each year our brothers and sisters go out to raise funds to keep the center going. This year there will be a fundraiser on July the 20th. Tickets are available, and if you want information on it, you can call 722-7900 and speak to Brother Olaminji. Now at this time I would like to introduce our sisters. I believe they're here. Sister Leverne Sims, who is a M.O.V.E. member. Are the sisters here? We'd like them to come right in, please, and come right up to the roster. Let's bring them on with a warm round of applause. First, we will hear from Sister Leverne Sims. Let them come right up here. This is Sister Leverne Sims. Let's bring her on with a warm round of applause. Before she speaks, I also would like to let you know that this radio broadcast is being carried in Des Moines, Iowa on station KUCB. And we want to thank Brother Al Saladin. Let's bring her on again, once again, with a warm round of applause.
I would like to first thank Minister Farrakhan for inviting Louise and myself here. And I must say that it is a privilege and an honor to be here this morning as a result of Minister Farrakhan. I would like to say, too, thanks to the sisters and brothers of Islam for their warm reception in receiving Louise and myself. To quote John Africa, guilt is the agent of plague to this system, and deception is y'all's tool to get around y'all's disaster. Long live John Africa. John Africa is a very wise black man that presented such a threat to this system, they came after him with everything they had. John Africa says, what a family we are when our aim is unbending, committed to stop this intruder of life from sucking the blood of our mom any longer, with the power that no man can stand up against long. What a family we are when we're one force united, committed to move the world in a hurry through loyalty, truth, and the word revolution, a word that is now an experience of M.O.V.E. Long live John Africa. Indeed, M.O.V.E. people have experienced the word revolution. M.O.V.E. members are and was the most courageous people I know. And they got that courage from the strength of John Africa, a small black man in stature, but strong as an oak tree unbending. Long live John Africa. 11 little people went to their death standing on a position, release our innocent brothers and sisters from jail. That position has not changed. Our family is innocent and we know it. So do the judicial system in Philadelphia. Ramona is innocent. They shot 30,000 rounds of ammunition at that sister. They dropped a bomb on that sister. But they have her in jail under bail, ransom of $4 million. We want our brother Mo Africa out of jail as well. You know, when black folk get any kind of position, they always feel the need to impress on the white man how unprejudiced they are. And they bend and bow and scrape doing it. But the degradation of all that they do in selling out their ancestors, it is done very cheap. Mayor W. Wilson Goode of Philadelphia sold out those principles of his ancestors. And he sold out his manhood as well for a promise. Sold it out for a position. He sold it out for a penny, just to prove to the white man that blacks would be treated no different than the white structure intended. No different. That black folks were still going to be mistreated. When the mayor took that office as mayor to serve blacks, Puerto Ricans, and whites well, he meant it. He meant he would serve for his master a job well done on blacks, on Puerto Ricans, but for whites. He said, "Master, I am a sharecropper's son, and I learned well. I'm still a good slave, and I'll do your job very well." Mayor Goode said, "Just give me my title, and I'll play the role. I'm approved to your master. Just give me my title. Just cause my skin is black means nothing, cause my mind is white. I just look black." But to quote John Africa, "An innocent mask will fool only the blind, but the man that can see will cut through all disguises." Long live John Africa. But if we allow this man, this black-faced Hitler, to set such a precedent like May 13th in Philadelphia, we are signing our own death warrants. Now, people may choose to ignore this, don't see it as themselves. But if you ignore a red light and walk across the street while a car is traveling at breakneck speed, you're going to get hit. That bomb is traveling 1,000 miles a minute, and it's gaining momentum. Just get out of line. Get out of line if you will. Talk back if you dare. Oh, Master say, "I done bought myself a house, nigga." And that bomb that's waiting got y'all's name on it and mine. May 12th, Mother's Day, according to the system. May 13th, and then there were none. Consuela and Janet Africa, when they were forced to go to jail, were forced to leave their children behind. When Sue and Janine Africa was forced to go to jail, they too left their children behind. When Brother Phil and Delbert Africa was framed, they too were forced to go to jail, along with the rest of the sisters and brothers, leaving their children behind. For some of these sisters and brothers, there will be no children for them to come home to. Mayor Wilson Goode of Philadelphia, Police Commissioner Gregor Sandborn, Fire Commissioner William Richmond, and then Managing Director Leo Brooks, who said he was going to resign anyway because he wanted to spend some time with his family. That may be true, especially now, because he sees just how precious life is. He can see how precious his own kids are. M.O.V.E. children who were exterminated by a hired assassin was the most precious of all life. But those city officials elected, endorsed, sanctioned the dropping of that bomb that Lieutenant Frank Powell released from that helicopter, wiping out those babies, wiping them off the face of this earth, an act of genocide. There will be no generations forthcoming by the bearing of their children that would have been. They are gone now, their lives snuffed out. Those babies were literally blown apart. Of 5 children, not 4, only 1 was intact. The other 4, the only thing remaining are torsos. Brother Conrad, when he was buried, the only thing that was buried of this brother was an arm and his teeth. The rest of the remains are in the rubble on Osage Avenue somewhere. Louise had only 1 child on Mother's Day, May 12th, but on May 13th she was awarded childless. She too will never witness a generation because she had and have no grandkids. Bertie Africa, who was with his mother only minutes before, was left motherless only minutes after. M.O.V.E. was between a rock and a hard place. They could either give up and go to jail for whatever number of years came up on the dice that the judge rolled, or they could have defended themselves as they had every God-given right to do, because the system don't give you your right to fight, not when it ain't in their interests. It's incidental that M.O.V.E. people lived on Osage Avenue, but their fight was not with the neighbors. M.O.V.E. members were taught by John Africa not to attack our own kind without provocation. If M.O.V.E. harassed those neighbors, it was because M.O.V.E. was harassed by those neighbors. If M.O.V.E. threatened any neighbor on Osage Avenue, you best believe the neighbors had threatened M.O.V.E. first. But they would not arbitrarily attack black folk without provocation. But the confrontation didn't start 3 years ago. M.O.V.E. members have been in confrontation with the city of Philadelphia since the inception of M.O.V.E. If I was to tell you the many times the police, along with every mayor there was in the administration, tell you the brutality that has been heaped on this family, I would be here until tomorrow. But as a result of the late Judge Fred DeBona and District Attorney Ed Rendell, when they conspired to issue illegal warrants on my family in 1977, It culminated into August 1978 that ultimately brought about May 13th. But M.O.V.E. wasn't loud enough on that bullhorn because nobody heard them. It fell on deaf ears, and that's obvious because they're gone now. But the voices, the complaints of the neighbors of Osage Avenue to the mayor went around the world. Those complaints to the mayor was heard all over this world. It went across the nation. A judge, Edward Malmed, who said just above a whisper, I sentence you to 30 to 100 years. This judge gave my family, 9 M.O.V.E. members, a sentence of 30 to 100 years. When a judge tells a man he sentenced him to the electric chair to be electrocuted until he is dead, listen to it. It'll bust your eardrums. Ain't no amplifier made that could project the sound like Mayor Wilson Goode did along with his hitmen, those paid assassins, those exterminators of babies made. It was so loud it shook the world. The neighbors, you who went through the great pain to get rid of M.O.V.E., to them I say they haven't done nothing. Nothing was accomplished, but those complaints was just like a contract, and they got paid for it. Every neighbor that sought to have M.O.V.E. evicted, every penny they are paid. They must remember they got it at the expense of 11 people's lives. 11 people who were shot and cremated in cold blood. The blood that's on the hands of these neighbors, they will never be able to wash off. There will be no peace in that block. And even when the houses are rebuilt, there will still be no peace, no sleep. They will hear the cries of the M.O.V.E. children for a long time. They will hear those screams that can only come from excruciating pain. The 14 black ministers who condoned what Wilson Goode did will hear it. Councilman Lucian Blackwell will hear it. Councilwoman Joan Spector will hear those cries of the babies. Sanborn, Richmond, and Leo Brooks will hear those screams. Lieutenant Frank Powell will have no peace. And every black politician and leader who didn't come to M.O.V.E.'s aid, didn't even try to stop that Holocaust, they're going to hear the screams for a long, long time to come. There will be no peace in Philadelphia because they killed the only peace they could ever hope to have. They done did something ugly. And every time they hear the thunder, I want them to remember Mama is protesting that ugliness. To quote John Africa, no matter how clean you are fashioned to be, the dirt in your past is a load none can carry. Long live John Africa. But those 11 M.O.V.E. people who were slain are at peace now. They're sleeping in sweet slumber in the bosom of my mama. She's been waiting a long time. Waiting a long time to hold those brothers and sisters. Because I know they was tired. We had 11 people against the world. And they had to be tired.
But we don't have to worry about that no more, because they won't be beat no more. There will be no more contempts coming from a contemptuous judge. No more jailing. No more dirty names. They will never be called another filthy name. Filthy names that was unjust, that they did not deserve. But they're gone now. To quote John Africa, just as the power of water will cut through any dam and free the flow, the power of truth will cut through any callous and free the mind. The sun is indeed assured to shine so long as your person's light clear and fertile. But the pitch black confusion of civilization is hopeless so long as this damn thing exists. Long live John Africa. The power of truth is final.
Brothers and sisters, we're going to hear from next Louise James, who is also a former M.O.V.E. member and the oldest sister of Brother John Africa. Let's bring her on with a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Just heard from my sister Laverne. And I'd just like to say to you that Laverne is my sister, but she is also my best friend. Without her, I don't know what I would have done. Coming to Chicago for me accomplished two things. One, I met for the first time a man I have for many years admired and respected, Minister Farrakhan. Two, having met him made me to know that the admiration I had, the respect I had, albeit sincere, was at best extremely remote. I now know the full meaning of admiration, the full meaning of respect, and I now know something else. I know the inner strength of a very gentle man. That which he communicated to Laverne and me will help us so much in this, a very difficult time. Minister Farrakhan, residents of Chicago, I bring to you that which was taught me by my beloved brother, John Africa. Long live John Africa. While the lie only scars the entrance to the mind, the truth erases the lie and implants itself in the mind forever. Quote John Africa, end quote. Before this reading is through, you will clearly see this made manifest. 9 of our sisters and brothers are in various state prisons doing 30 to 100 years for a murder they did not commit. One man is serving an indefinite sentence in the streets for 11 murders that he did commit. And we are asked to believe in justice? The 9 people are M.O.V.E. members. The man is W. Wilson Goode, the mayor of murder. I'd like to ask you to take a journey with me back through the pages of time to the early days of M.O.V.E., its founder, its reason for being. M.O.V.E. was founded by John Africa, a black man. We want to emphatically impress this in the minds of the people so that they are clear about it. You see, there is a rumor being circulated by the white racist press that M.O.V.E. has a co-founder, a wimp by the name of Donald Glassy. In addition to being a wimp, Donald Glassy, too, is a white male. In addition to being both white and wimpy, he is also a paid informant, paid by the FBI to turn state's evidence against John Africa. Now, one might well question the significance of what I'm saying. Under ordinary circumstances, it would have no significance. But this is not an ordinary circumstance. This fool is being linked to our beloved founder, John Africa. And out of the respect due him, it must be cleared up. I have said that he is white to establish that he is not black. I have called him a wimp to establish that he is weak, spineless, gutless. Weak, spineless, gutless, a credit to the mentality that spawned him. I have said that he is a paid informant to establish that he is a traitor. John Africa is a wise man, a strong man, an honest man, and of great significance, a black man. It is an insult to him and to those of us who speak his teaching to have it even suggested that this gutless wonder could be as he. For that is what he would have to be called co-founder. John Africa is the founder of the M.O.V.E. organization. He had no help because clearly he needed no help. He alone wrote the principle that you hear us speak, and he wrote it without the so-called help of Donald Glassy. How could Donald Glassy help John Africa when he couldn't even help himself? He didn't bring anything to this man's principle because he didn't have anything to bring. The press lied, and while the wimp has made several remarks to the press, subsequent to May 13, he has made no attempt to put down the lie, thus continuing to take credit for being M.O.V.E.'s co-founder. Well, he's not. And we will continue to say, as we have been, that he's not. What he is all that he is, a wimp. And having dealt with and dealt away with this fraud, I strongly reiterate that M.O.V.E. was founded by John Africa, a black man. Those of us who were fortunate enough to be around him, be privy to his teaching, soon found out that this man was unlike any other man we have ever known before or since. He was a master analyst. Analysis simply means one's ability to see things clearly. Understanding that anything you can see, you can say. John Africa clearly saw a system so foul, so corrupt, so steeped in lie that when he said it the way he saw it, the system knew that here indeed was a man to be reckoned with. Here was a man who knew what was the truth, patiently and painstakingly taught it to us and gave us leave to go out and speak it in an uncompromising way to those that people this nation. And we did it. We did it non-stop for almost all of the early 70s. We demonstrated. We spoke loudly. We spoke softly. We spoke forcefully, and we demonstrated some more. We spoke out in churches, on radio, on TV, in the park. Spoke out on street corners all over Philadelphia. Spoke out on street corners in New York. Spoke out in colleges and universities. Spoke out via taped messages right here in Chicago. We spoke of our religion, which is natural law, and the only law M.O.V.E. members adhere to, without question. Because we were taught by John Africa that it is the only law that works. It is whole, it is just, it is absolute, and it is in no way to be likened to man's so-called law, as man knows absolutely nothing about the meaning of lawful. He only knows the meaning of legal, and the two are not synonymous. The loopholes to be found in man's legal will never be found in God's lawful. Legal means discriminating. Natural law moves religion, embraces not this term. You have, for example, young Joe Kennedy, who got himself all hied up, threw a gang of his party-going friends in his Jeep and accelerated to the point of crashing. He came out with a few scratches and left a young girl paralyzed for the rest of her natural life. He got slapped on the wrist and chastised with, "Shame on you, your father is a senator. Your uncle was the president. Get you home, you naughty boy, and think about that." Ted Kennedy, in the Chippewa incident, somehow miraculously managed to swim out the window of a car that was underwater, while Mary Jo Kopechne, his companion, drowned. He too was completely exonerated. Question: would you have been what I have been? In Philadelphia, Paul Churchy, white, so-called middle class, some years ago ran back and forth over a 2-year-old black baby, killing that infant. His folks hired well-known attorney Arlen Specter, who got bail set at $5,000, and for $500, Churchy walked. That same week, my brother Delbert Africa was held in contempt of court and given bail in the amount of $50,000. You hear that? Count of $50,000 for contempt. Delbert, of course, was sent to jail. This is your discriminatory legal. Now, the law, talking about the law of God, makes no such allowances. Under the law of natural, the law of God, if you take the Churchies, the Kennedys, the Rockefellers, throw in the DuPonts, the Mellons, the Vanderbilts, King Charles, Queen Elizabeth, Lady Diana can come too.
Go ahead.
Now take the so-called commoner, the average working class people, poor blacks, poorer whites. Stand all these people side by side without benefit of umbrella or the rain of power, everybody gonna get wet. Everybody is gonna get wet, irrespective of their titles, irrespective of their riches, irrespective of their status. This is the difference between lawful and legal. And it is clearly the difference between M.O.V.E. and the system. See, John Africa didn't just teach us, he taught us well that the system uses the word law without having an inkling of what law means. You don't have to rack your brains to realize that I speak the truth. All our lives we've heard the words, everybody must obey the law. We've heard that all our lives. Well, now everybody means all.
Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
It don't mean blacks, poor whites, Hispanics, the so-called minority. It means blacks, poor whites, Hispanics. It means mayors and governors and presidents. It means preachers and teachers and popes. We're talking about the so-called upper class, the middle class, or no class at all. We got to include the aristocracy, the bureaucracy, the mediocrities, the Pontius and the Pilate. The list goes on, but finally we're talking about the big lie. The lie that the system been telling ever since it's been a system. The lie that John Africa uncovered nearly 15 years ago and had been thrown back in the system's face ever since. Because the same system that insists that we obey their so-called law is the same system that breaks that so-called law every chance they get. How many times have you seen a cop writing up a ticket, lecturing a person about the hazards of double parking while they themselves were double parked? You know what I'm saying? You ever seen a cop in hot pursuit of a person who was speeding? Did it ever occur to you that by the time he catches up to that person, he's driven twice as fast? Try chasing somebody on foot that's got a good head start. If you think he's pumping his heart to keep from being caught, imagine the punishment your heart's taking in an attempt to overtake. Which explains why you hear it said so often when there's a foot chase that the person got away. It also speaks very clearly to the law that dictates to move and is accepted without question. Man's legal makes you think you can keep on running, you see. But God's law makes you know that you can either stop or drop. These are just some of the things M.O.V.E. has been saying. And contrary to popular opinion, it's not M.O.V.E.'s philosophy. It's the truth. It is the truth. A person's philosophy can be argued and ultimately rejected as something with which the other person simply does not agree. The truth can neither be argued nor rejected. The evidence of this statement does not need to be qualified by me. It can be qualified by you. What have I said here that you would want to argue with? What words have I spoken that you would want to reject on the basis that it is questionable and therefore unacceptable? What must be understood is the acceptance of it has nothing to do with whether or not one wants to accept it. It is accepted because it is the truth. Even more important for people to understand is that it didn't come from me. It came from he who taught me. I'm talking about John Africa. No one, repeat, no one can speak John Africa's principle except those who are John Africa taught. The operative word is taught, as in teacher. He is the container. I am merely the dispenser. If you can understand that I can only dispense what is in the container, then you begin to understand that without the container there will be nothing to dispense. And at this point, the only thing that is ringing in my head is, long live John Africa. Long live John Africa. Long live the man who had the wisdom of the ages and was generous enough to give some to us. Now, if your mind will enable you to enlarge on what you've heard and think about this information being put out uncut, raw to this system, then you'll know that just as you cannot get around the truth when you hear it, neither could the system. And so when they could not attack the truth that M.O.V.E. was speaking, they started attacking the people who were speaking this truth. In the early 70s, M.O.V.E. suffered 600 arrests in less than 2 years. Had bail put on us in excess of $1 million. Our people were beaten unmercifully. Limbs broken, teeth knocked out, skulls caved in, babies killed. Over and over since May 13, you've heard how M.O.V.E. members were violent, how they were terrorists. Another lie told by the system to cover up their violence, their act of terrorism. Because you see, M.O.V.E. didn't drop no bomb on Wilson Goode's house. Wilson Goode dropped a bomb on M.O.V.'s house. M.O.V.E. didn't terrorize nobody in this system. The system, vis-a-vis the murdering mayor, literally terrorized 11 members of my family to death. So now just where is the violence coming from? And just who are the terrorists? In addition to being called terrorists, violent, M.O.V.E. is constantly referred to by members of this press as dirty people, radicals. Well, they didn't know what they was talking about when they called M.O.V.E. terrorists, referred to them as violent, and they still don't know what they're talking about. Don't even know what dirty or radical means when it comes to M.O.V.E. Because long live John Africa, can't nobody speak the word dirty till they first know the meaning of clean. Can't do it. You can't do it. What is clean about a person who's dressed up on the outside and messed up filthy on the inside? Don't you know that if your mind is dirty, Brooks Brothers suits ain't gonna clean you up? When a so-called pillar of the community gets up in the morning, puts on his best suit of clothes, ties his tie just so, and before the sun has set, he has raped some mother's daughter. Is he clean? How clean is a man who wears a white sheet to let somebody in, and a three-piece suit to pray in? What difference does it make whether a black man is being kicked in the back, stomped in the chest by an off-duty cop wearing a tuxedo and Gucci loafers, or an on-duty cop wearing that blue uniform and patent leather steel toes? They both dirty. As for the word radical, radical means extreme. And yes, M.O.V.E. is radical. Radically opposed to the so-called criminal justice system that would sentence Ted Kennedy back to the Senate for a murder he says he did not commit, while sentencing Mumia Abu-Jamal to the electric chair for a murder he says he did not commit. Radically, extremely opposed to a Judge Malmed who would snatch 30 to 100 years out of the lives of 9 people for a murder he didn't even witness, while some other judge puts 3 racist cops, Zagami, Marble Hill, and Geist, back on the street for nearly beating my brother Delbert to death. A beating that was witnessed by an entire nation. Tired as move of the black national anthem, different strokes for different folks. Sick and tired, diametrically opposed to the system's continued misuse of the name John Africa. Tired of them misleading people, trying to make people think the man don't know what he's talking about, that what he's got to say ain't worth listening to, when they bloody well know they ain't never been able to dispute a single solitary word the man has ever said. The news media, witness to clarity and saying he ain't clear, looking at a clean man and calling him dirty, hearing the man's wisdom and calling it rhetoric. Long live John Africa. Where y'all think I'm getting it from? Attacking, smearing, misusing the influence they know they will to make people think what they want them to think. M.O.V.E. is opposed in the extreme to police brutality, the Ku Klux Klan, the Nazi Party, war. Sick unto death of the way this system leans toward the rich and leans on the poor. This is what we've been saying all these years, only much, much more. And finally, this is what May 13th, 1985 was all about. Disinformation. Not to imply that the neighbors were blameless, never that, but to make clear that the city was happy to respond to the neighbors' so-called complaints. It afforded them an opportunity to do what they wanted to do for nearly 15 years. The city, so they think, got what they want. And those neighbors who were involved seemingly, I say seemingly, got what they want. See, in all these years, M.O.V.E. refused to be stifled, refused to accept injustice without protest, and the system never gave up trying. This is the cause of the bombing. It is also the reason we have political prisoners. M.O.V.E. did not kill that cop. How is it possible to shoot somebody
and the back of their head when you are literally at their feet, which is where M.O.V.E. was, in the basement. This subsequent to the shooting, they conveniently changed the location of the bullet. Secondly, in giving 9 people 30 to 100, they're admitting that they don't know who did it. On Monday, May 13th, Mayor Wilson Goode ordered a bomb dropped on a row house at 6221 Osage Avenue, a house that he knew to be inhabited by men, women, babies, and animals. Now, any way you look at it, this is willful, premeditated murder, as bombs are designed to kill. Coming from his legal, this carries an automatic death sentence if committed by an ordinary citizen. The only difference here is when a crime is committed by a citizen, it has to be proven. In the murdering mayor's case, the dropping of that bomb was witnessed by an entire nation. And we want everybody to know that what he did was politically expedient rather than godfully obedient. This man is responsible for taking the lives of our kids, our M.O.V.E. sisters and brothers, and my natural son. We want to make it clear that they did not give their lives were taken. And they were taken with the same political expediency as the lives of our 9 sisters and brothers, doing 30 to 100. And they were taken with the same political expediency as the lives of our 9 sisters and brothers, doing 30 to 100. And with an eye toward the same end, shut M.O.V.E. up. Shut them up by locking them up, or shut them up by killing them, but finally shut them up. Well, people, let me tell you, we ain't gonna be shut up. Because we are speaking John Africa's truth. And truth cannot be stifled. You cannot evict it. Can't run off no corner. Ain't no safe been made yet to lock it up.
Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Ain't no building built that can house the force of this truth. So now what have they done? Who did they kill? When will they know that they can't make it so? Tell me. Somebody please tell me what gun you're going to use to shoot it. What boat you're going to knock to lynch it. What bomb you're going to manufacture to blow it up, tear it down, smithereen it out of existence. Y'all hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? I'm saying they turned a deaf ear to the screams of our babies, but our babies still scream through us. They ignored the agonized voices of our sisters and brothers, but their agony will be felt through us. They think they have silenced the voice of our brother, but our brother still speaks through us. These fiends burn to a crisp the body of my son. But his mother is here to see to his suffering, tend to his needs, do for him what he's asked me to do. Because he did ask, and I hear him now as I heard him then. I hear his voice yelling to me, screaming to me, saying, Ma, it wasn't supposed to go this way. Because we ain't never gave nobody permission to kill us. And you tell the people that. You tell people, Ma. Tell them how they had us boxed in with no way out. Tell them how no matter which window we looked out, all we saw was the face of the enemy, Ma. You tell them that. Tell them, Ma, how we screamed and yelled for over an hour that we were coming out. And how the cops ignored us, wouldn't let us out. And Ma, don't forget to tell them How when we finally did try to come out, they was all over us. And when we tried to turn around, they shot us in the back. You tell them, Ma. You tell them they shot us in the back. Shot us back into a house that was blazing. They did it, Ma. And I know how hard it is to say. I know how much you hurting, Ma, and I know your heart is breaking, but you gotta do it, Ma. You gotta tell on them. And tell on them and keep on telling on them. If you feel your strength going, think about how strong I was. If you feel your courage falter, think about how courageous I was. And if you feel you're losing both, think about how much I loved you. Because I loved you, Ma. I loved you. This is the way my son talks to me. And coming here at the invitation of Minister Farrakhan is the way I respond. Going to Baltimore and speaking there is the way that I respond. Going to New York, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, Atlanta, San Francisco, and all across this nation is the way my sister Laverne and I intend to respond to the voice of my son. Right. Not only to the anguished voice of my son Frank, Africa, but to the voices raised in anguish of our other sisters and brothers, our kids, and possibly our brother. We gotta do it. And we gotta do it because we hear their message, and we won't shut up. But let me tell you what else we hear. We hear the message that the system sent on May 13th. What it said was, this bombogram we sent is not just for M.O.V.E. You see that? It's not just for M.O.V.E. It's for anybody and everybody who dares to expect justice to be given on the basis that it should be given. If you come to us for justice and we refuse, and you come again and we refuse, and you come with more demands after we have told you repeatedly you can't have it, then we're going to drop a bomb on you. We're going to blow up your house and you with it. And people, let me tell you, if we sit back and allow this to go down without some form of protest, we are signing our own death warrant. You can very well say that I say this because it happened to me, which is exactly what the system is banking on, you see. Or you can understand that a precedent has been set, a foundation laid to do it again, and the next time possibly for less. How do you think police brutality on blacks reached the proportion that it is today? It reached this proportion because the very first act was allowed. The first black person who was unjustifiably brutalized really believed, that because it was the cops, there was nothing he could do. But you see, cops are people. You understand that? Cops are people. And people can always be made accountable by other people who make it known in a strong, determined way that we're not going to tolerate it. You understand what I'm saying to you this afternoon? You got to listen to what I'm saying to you. I got a son that's dead, and he sent me out here to speak for him. Got brothers and sisters that were burned to a crisp, and they sent me out and said, Louise and Leverne, tell it! Go tell the mountain. Got babies that will never reach adulthood that said, tell them what they did to us, Louise. You tell them what they did to us, and you make them accountable, and people can be made accountable by other people. The people who were murdered by this modern-day Nero demanded the release of our non-political prisoners, and that is what we too demand. To that end, we will keep on making that demand until that demand is met. I got to leave here now, for I must be about my brother's business in another place at another time. To quote John Africa, the power of move is not the force you can see. The power of move is the force you can't see. And the power of truth is final. Long live John Africa. Long live John Africa. Long live John Africa. The power of truth is final. I thank you.
Brothers and sisters on the radio, the tape is available of the lecture this afternoon by calling 994-5775. And before we go off the air, we have just a few minutes. We want to hear from Minister Louis Farrakhan.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Allah for our beloved leader, teacher, and guide, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You all have heard this afternoon from our sisters. We are very grateful that in just a little over 40 days after this tragedy, that they are able to come to us with the strength and the determination and the spirit to tell us what happened to them. We appreciate their telling us what they did, because we live in a city that has rejoiced because we as black people have a black mayor. And I think it should be instructive to us that this be known by us, that we may make sure that it does not happen to this mayor in this city or in any other city ever again in this country. By the grace of Almighty God, Allah, we will not let this be just a speech that we heard from these sisters about their family, which is our family too. But this speech that we heard from them should be the beginning of our opening our hearts with concern for other people who believe differently than we believe. We must stop this foolishness of closing our hearts and closing our minds on human beings who think differently than we think, or believe differently than we believe, or dress or act differently than we act or dress. Human beings and their cry for justice, which knows no color, must be heard by all of us if we expect any justice to come in our own lives. As this radio broadcast goes on off the air, I want to take at least 20 minutes of your time to make my response to my sisters and to say a word to those of you who are here, because what happened in Philadelphia is being planned right now in other cities across this country where they expect black uprising due to black poverty and black hopelessness in this system of things. I would like to read an editorial, or rather an article that will appear tomorrow in the Final Call newspaper concerning M.O.V.E. And then I shall make a couple of comments. The recent tragedy in Philadelphia surrounding the organization called M.O.V.E. and the facts that have emerged from that tragedy led me to the conclusion that Mayor Wilson Goode's judgment, actions, and deportment in the aftermath of that tragedy was no good at all. I am appalled at the insensitivity and the callous disregard for human life shown by the Philadelphia administration. And I am equally appalled at the hypocrisy of religious leaders in Philadelphia who have supported the mayor's unchristian action either by their consent or by their silence. No national black leader with the exception of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Congressman John Conyers, and Congressman Gus Savage, to my knowledge, have spoken out against this atrocity. It is sad that these same preachers and leaders have gone to great lengths to counsel black people in tolerance, patience, and nonviolence. Yet they applauded the actions of the mayor and his police chief, actions which demonstrate impatience, intolerance, and brutal, inhuman violence. What hypocrites! There is nothing that can be said to justify the burning oven of Holocaust that was meted out to this group called M.O.V.E. They were not criminals. They had murdered no one. What then was their crime that justified this action? They dared to be different, to believe differently, and to act out their own system of beliefs. Is not this supposed to be the basic reason why this nation was founded? According to the press, their customs were unclean, and they lived with rats, roaches, dogs, and cats. What illogical stupidity! If that is justification for burning them out, are you then saying that the ghettos of America and the blacks within them should be destroyed likewise? How many times have we seen on television whites living in absolute squalor and filth, having several cats or dogs in their homes, yet no similar action was taken against them? I will not waste valuable time or space dealing with the filth of early Europe or early Christian society. This is a matter of history. But I want to focus on the intolerance of us as black people for those of us who are different. There are those of us today who choose to wear dreadlocks. And there are those of us who choose to wear African dress or different styles of dress, and those who go to different religious institutions. But when black people who have been the victims of so much intolerance have no room in our hearts to tolerate the various differences among ourselves, we ourselves call upon ourselves a doom that our enemies delight in pouring upon us. Certainly the social customs of M.O.V.E., as I understand, are not necessarily those that I as a Muslim would subscribe to. However, should we deny them their basic rights? There is nothing that these sisters said today with which I could disagree. I believe that God's law is the law, and I believe that there is no power stronger than truth. And if John Africa had the courage to stand against a system which all of us know is an unjust system, then why should we retreat from John Africa and move simply because the system and those exponents of that system who benefit from the mercilessness of the system want to punish them for daring to speak the truth about that system? No, we should run to them. But the problem is, whenever a stranger comes into the community, one whose way and style is different from ours, the press tells us who they are. We don't go ourselves to find out who our brother and sister is that moved into our neighborhood. How many of us went to Philadelphia when we heard what was going on with M.O.V.E. and John Africa? How many black newspapers who have resources sent a reporter to tell us what was happening with John Africa and M.O.V.E.? We trusted the media, the establishment media, to represent them to us when we know that they never represented us to each other, why should they represent the truth of another black group or another black organization? It was just a few years ago that the NAACP could not have the truth told about it to black people. The Urban League suffered the same thing. SCLC with Dr. Martin Luther King suffered the same thing. If you had not known Dr. King, you would never have known about him. If you have not known Malcolm X, you could never know about him from what they have written about him. If we do not contact each other, if we have no means of communicating with each other, we will always allow our people to be isolated and then destroyed, and then only later can we have meetings like this decrying the senseless brutality, while it never could have happened unless they were isolated from their people first. I realize the dilemma of Mayor Wilson Goode. But in my judgment, Mayor Goode's words speak of self-hatred and a desire to please the worst elements of white people. The mayor, in my judgment, knows that the police chief himself, not the mayor, was the architect of this wicked plan. That he, the mayor, did not have the full knowledge of what that plan entailed. But to appear fully in charge, he accepted the responsibility, which of course he should have, especially if he were not going to fire the police chief. Now, this action of the mayor may have endeared the mayor to the worst elements of the police in his city and in cities across the country. But the mayor's action and attitude has made him a loser, not only with black people around the country, but Mayor Wilson Goode will be a loser eventually with his own constituency in Philadelphia. For the mayor to say that he would do it again and again and again shows strength, but in the wrong direction. The mayor should have fired his police chief and then gone on television and said, I will do it again and again and again. As black people, the actions of Mayor Wilson Goode places us in a dilemma. For we wanted him as our mayor, and we certainly were proud that he was elected to be such, although we do not expect perfection. We know that he, as well as we, will make mistakes. However, when a mistake of this nature is made, the spirit that follows should be one of remorse, regret, and repentance, not arrogance, callousness, and complete disregard for the loss of human life. These same hypocritical black leaders will stand in the concentration camps at Auschwitz and shed tears for others, while they show no remorse for their own people who suffer at their hands. The black middle class must be warned and instructed that when the Germans started their destruction of the Jews, they started with the poor and the weak. Many of the middle class Jews remained silent, thinking and hoping that the Germans would not do this to them. But the rest is history. For even those who considered themselves the best of the Jews were placed in the ovens. So we as black people must not be satisfied to replace white inhumanity with black inhumanity and then call it progress. We can never be satisfied suffering under the same evil and then be afraid to rise up against it simply because the evil is being done by one of our own kind. We must be courageous to speak the truth regardless to whom or what. When the least of us and the most socially unacceptable among us are dealt an unjust blow, that is the time for the middle class and the upper class, for the clergy, the politicians, and all of the leaders to cry out. For as surely as we see the sun rise by facing the east, this same evil will come to the very doors of those who condoned the mayor's actions or were silent in the wake of it. May Allah bless us to increase our love for ourselves and our love for one another, that this unfortunate tragedy that happened in Philadelphia may never, ever happen again. In Philadelphia, they're planning to rebuild all of the houses except the house of Sister Louise. So, brothers and sisters, the black people of America need to hear this story. The black people of America need to become acquainted with John Africa. Late, but not too late, because truth crushed to the earth. See, it rises again. And John Africa, like all of the brilliant men and women who have risen up and were crushed out, they add to the justice that cries out from the earth. And so I say, beloved, to the Muslims here in Chicago and to our Muslim brothers and sisters across the country, we must take a stand on the side of M.O.V.E. We must take a stand for what is right. We cannot be concerned about suffering for right, for that we have done since we followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So a little more suffering for right will make it possible one day to never have to suffer for right again. But to delay it and postpone it is to make sure that this happens over and over again. I would like to conclude my remarks today by making a mention of the hostages and making a mention of the remarks made by President Reagan as he was here in Illinois a few days ago. The American people, black and white, are victims of a government that does not tell the American people the truth. 85% of the masses of black people do not know the truth. And you may think this is strange, but 85% of the masses of white people do not know the truth. In fact, the masses of humanity all over the earth are controlled by a very small percentage of well-learned elite that keep truth from the masses, that they may suck the blood of the masses to live in luxury at the expense of poor black, poor white, poor brown, poor yellow, poor red. The masses are suffering all over the earth because of a lack of the knowledge of the truth. So when one will rise up to tell the truth, that 10% that suck the blood of the 85% use the ignorance of the 85% against the bearer of the truth to crush it out before it can get up from the ground. This is America. The American people don't really know why this is happening. They look on television and they see whites with their hands wringing. The family of those who are held by quote-unquote terrorists. And the families are saying, I don't know why they did this. I mean, we were just on a vacation. We were just on our way home, and these people came from the back of the plane with a hand grenade. Wild-looking people. And now here we are in Lebanon. And the headlines come out, America held hostage. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that I don't like to just throw out. But it says, as thou hast done, so shall it be done. As a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. The Bible says, those who lead into captivity shall go into captivity. The Bible says, they who kill by the sword shall die by the sword. The Bible says that you sow the wind and you reap the whirlwind. Now, I don't know how you think about that, but those are universal laws. Not legal, but the universal law of God that embodies and encompasses all things. The American people must be made to understand that the peoples of the world have no means for the redress of their grievance, for every means of access for the redress of their grievance has been closed to the poor. If the poor cannot go to court and speak the truth before an impartial judge and jury and get justice, where can the poor go? Hear me well, brothers and sisters. If the poor cannot hire a lawyer, if the poor cannot rest their case on the strength of the truth, then where can the poor turn? You may win the case in the court, and the wicked may get off and say, well, we beat that one. We killed another nigger and they called it justifiable homicide. We beat that one. But you never beat justice. You beat the legal system, as Sister said, but you never beat justice, because every crime committed has its consequence. And when the people's breasts are so full that they cannot take anymore, the people make the system accountable by overthrowing it and killing everything attached to it. Is this what America wants? Is this what America wants? If America continues in the path that she is going, she's breeding the very destruction of herself from the hands of her own people. Because when the American people know the truth, they will have to act according to it. The government of America has been a pawn of Zionism and Jewish vanity and selfishness for a long time. You don't know this, but the government of America has been long under the control of Jews. They are angry with Brother Farrakhan, and they call me anti-Semitic. That is not my name. My name is Farrakhan. Farrakhan means that which distinguishes between truth and falsehood. I am a clear evidence to help people make up their minds as to which side of the question you should be on. If after you hear what I have to say, you are in the valley of decision. I have done my job, and you can't deny what I have to say. America is wrong, and America is guilty, and America cannot hide her guilt behind charging others with her evil. The Shiites, who are they? The Amal militia, who are they? The Hezbollah, who are they? Why do they call themselves the party of God? Ayatollah Khomeini, the sign of God. Who are these people with God's name on their lips? Who are these people that will strap themselves with bombs, knowing that they shall not live another moment, and drive themselves into American embassy or a marine compound, blowing it to kingdom come, and themselves with it? How can you stop people who are unafraid to die for what they believe in? What has brought all of this about? Why do they call America the great Satan? Is she or is she not? Huh? God bless America. God cannot bless America unless America is in a position to be blessed. And the only way America can truly be blessed by God, she has to correct the wrong. And you can't correct the wrong by murdering the bearers of truth. America killed the lawful ruler in Iran, Mohammed Mossadegh. And several hundred Iranians died because the foreign policy of America said, we want no leader in Iran that will not access us to the oil. So Mossadegh wanted to nationalize the oil, which was then being sucked by America and England. And the CIA of America plotted and carried out the killing of Mossadegh, the overthrowing of his power, and they themselves put the Shah of Iran on the throne. You don't know this. The Shah was America's man in Iran. How can you be the head of a nation and be the friend of another nation who is sucking the blood of your own people? That man obliterated to the best that he could Islam, putting in the hearts of the people a desire to return to the way of Prophet Muhammad. Khomeini came roaring out of France with nothing in his mind but the restoration of his nation and the punishment of the wicked who had destroyed his country and his people. Lebanon. Israel is financed by America. The weapons that Israel has are American-made weapons paid by your tax dollars as well as the other American citizens' tax dollars. They are given or sold to Israel, mostly given for defensive purposes. But there in southern Lebanon, where the Shiites live, for many months there had been no rocket shot into northern Palestine or Israel. They had no reason to invade. Here they come invading Lebanon in 1982 with American planes, American tanks, American weapons, American expertise along with their own, killing men, women, and children. Reagan did not call Begin a thug. He did not call Begin a barbarian. He did not call the barbarity of Israel what it really was. He just said in fine terms, well, he shouldn't do that. No punishment for Israel. So Israel solidified herself in the sovereign territory of another people. After it became untenable to stay there, weakening their economy, they began to pull out. And as they pulled out, they took 766 Shiites, 1,200, and reduced it down to 700. Thank you, brother. Here they're taking hostages. The president comes out and said, that is against international law. Quote, unquote, that's it. I made my statement. I ain't saying no more. They've got hostages. Do you think the Lebanese mothers and wives and sweethearts don't feel the same pain that Americans feel when theirs are hostages? But if America will not use her influence over her little client state in the Middle East to do that which is right, how then will the poor Lebanese be heard? Terrorism does not rise up in a vacuum. It is people's way of expressing themselves when every other avenue is closed to them. Don't you know that if the Lebanese Shiites did not take those hostages, you would never have known that their own people were spirited away in Israel? You would not have known it. So, beloved, America must correct herself, or she dooms all of the people that call themselves Americans to the wrath of the nations who hate America because of her policies. America's policies in Africa are atrocious. America's policy in the Caribbean are atrocious. America's policy in Central and South America are atrocious. There was a movie that I saw recently. I can't remember the name of it. The children were revolting against some American policy. And the senators in the movie were talking, and here's what they were saying. Don't they realize that the only reason they can go to college and protest is because of our strength in terms of the wealth that we are taking from these other nations? It's either we let them have the wealth and we go poor, or we maintain our standard of living at the expense of these other nations. Now that's very simplistic. But if you go to Central and South America, you see poverty, poverty, poverty. Do you think it's right that we in America should enjoy a standard of living so far above all other human beings at the expense of other human beings? Huh? Now you got a job at a factory. That factory may be in South Africa. It may be in Ceylon or Indonesia. People working for nothing. They have no increase of standard of living there. America sucking the raw materials out of their lands, bringing it to Europe and America, manufacturing it and selling it back to those people at a price so exorbitant that it ruins their economies to buy their own products back. This is America. This is what the International Monetary Fund does. In African countries and Asian countries, devalues their currency to give them a loan, then tells them what they can plant. And those countries have earth that is so rich you can spit and a plant will grow. But they are not growing food to nourish themselves. They're growing products that deplete the value of their own land. The famine in Ethiopia and in Sudan and in other places in Africa is just as much human greed as it is the lack of rainfall. American and Western policy is to make Africa hungry. Make Africa hungry that Europe must feed Africa so that America can continue to be strong on the raw materials of Africa. Terrorism? Who terrorized the Indians? Who terrorized our fathers? Who dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima? Who terrorized the Japanese? Who is terrorizing the world? Now that pendulum is swinging back. So, beloved, when you hear of these kind of things, don't think people are picking on America. America has already picked on the world. And now she don't like what's on her table for dessert. And so I say in conclusion to all of my brothers and sisters who are here, don't you get so caught up in the rhetoric of America and get blind to the substance of what that rhetoric is talking about, or what's at the root of the rhetoric. Reagan wants a very, patriotic spirit in America, so that anyone like M.O.V.E. couldn't be dealt with, or the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
Well, beloved, we on the move.
That's right. Right.
We know they're coming. But we also know they're coming. But we also know that it'll be like Custer's last stand. And they'll be Custer. Just remember, my dear beloved sister, that right after they bombed that house in Philadelphia, the God of nature answered with a tornado, several of them, on the 31st day of the month, tearing up whole communities, leaving their homes as they left yours, having them wringing their hands as they had your hands wringing, having them burying their children and their wives and wondering where their babies went as you wondered where yours were. A woman had a baby in her hand and the wind snatched the baby out of her hand. Is that right? Look, this is your Bible. When you see these things happening, there ain't no sense in crying. Some of us got to die to justify what the God is about to do. So in conclusion, I said to the Jews or others at Kennedy Center in Washington, I said, you don't like Farrakhan, but it would be wise that you leave me alone. I know you don't like me. Fine. But when you get it in your mind to do something about your likes, just remember, I'm not here of myself. I said, if you come after me as you are, can't help yourself. I said, then I will say to you, as Jesus said to the Jews of yesterday, I know you. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you shall do. He was a liar and a murderer, and you are that also. They came to Jesus and they said, but we are not guilty of what our fathers did. And Jesus said, you bear witness. You are the children of those fathers that murdered the prophets. Look at this now. They were trying to say they were better. And this is what white folks are saying today. We're not the same as our fathers that brought your fathers into bondage. We're different. We love you people. You bear witness, though, you're the children of those that murdered our fathers. Why is John Africa dead? Because you're the same as your father. Why did you lie to cover it? Because you're the same as your father. Why is Malcolm dead? Oh, you black Muslims killed him. Oh, it's a lot deeper than that, beloved. Some blacks was involved in it, and some of them were Muslims, so they claim. But here's a man that just came out of prison the other day. After 20 years for a crime he did not commit, the New York Post says, killer of Malcolm X, freed. What do they want? They want us to kill him, thinking that we're doing God a favor. See? How are you any better than your father? Your father was a liar, and you're one today. Your father was a murderer, and you're one today. You don't like Farrakhan. Why? What did I do? I'm telling the truth about you. Then I said, you generation of vipers. Those are not my words. Jesus spoke those words. You generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? And then I warned them. God says to them, I will bring the blood of the righteous from Abel to Zechariah to bear on this generation. Elijah Muhammad said not from Abel to Zechariah, but from Abel to John Africa, from Abel to today, right as I'm talking to you, somewhere in America, a black person's life is being snuffed out unjustified. The God of justice is keeping account. And so when you see tidal waves coming, earthquakes coming, that begin to tear down cities, some of us are going to. But God got to take some of us in order to get some of them sometime. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn when you see Pharaoh's army get drowned. So, beloved, I thank you for listening. I thank you for receiving Sister Laverne and Sister Louise. I thank you for your kind attention today. And right after this meeting is concluded, on the third floor, we want a reception, have a little reception for the sisters, where members of the press may desire to ask questions of them, and we, their family, just want to say to them, we feel your pain. You lost your son, we lost our nephew, because I'm your brother, and your son is my blood. Isn't that the way we should feel? You lost a child. And so, beloved, I thank you for this afternoon. Our great and honorable guest that came today, first and foremost of them, is a woman without equal. She's been on the firing line for black people for 74 years. And she's still standing strong for us, and any word she can say to encourage and inspire us, she still has the strength to say it. Queen Mother Moore, would you please stand? I could tell when they were talking that Queen Mother Moore was deeply touched by them. And as I said to Queen Mother, I say, your children are getting stronger every generation. These are some strong sisters. But do you see, beloved, how death serves life? The death of the children and family of M.O.V.E. strengthened these two to do what they might not have done otherwise. And God now is using death to bring life through you, that you may wake up people all over this nation and all over the world. I hope that God will use my life and your life in such fashion. With us today, of course, her longtime friend and companion who looks out for Queen Mother Moore, her dear friend who's also named Mrs. Moore. Would you please stand? Very happy to have you with us. And of course we have with us our own Sister Tanetta Muhammad. Would you please stand, Sister Tanetta? Sister Rufaro Dean, the Council of Sisterhood, Sister Kadi, how do you say that? She said, where are they, please? Way in the back. Thank you. Thank you for coming, sisters. We have with us a brother who we met in Kuwait from the Sudan. When we were traveling in Kuwait, he and his friends made us welcome at their home. And you know how they met us? We were out walking one night. And my son, Wallace, has a kind of a black American walk. A black American walk is a walk like no other walk. It's a walk with a bounce and a skip, you know. So when they saw that walk, they said, they're from America. So they stopped and asked us where we were from. And when they heard we were from America, they said, we know. So we struck up a relationship, a warm friendship. They invited us to their home, and there we met our brother Medo Omer from Kuwait. And he brought with him today his friend and, of course, our brother, Brother Magdi Usami. Brother Magdi Usami. But that's not all. We have Brother Oyetemi Olatunji from Nigeria. Where is he? Where's our brother? Oh, I didn't know there were magicians like that. Disappeared that quick. We have Dr. S.J. Evans and son. Dr. Evans, I hope you're all not getting frightened now. Mr. Ron Mitchell, the representative of Congressman Gus Savage. Ron Mitchell. Dr. Martino Tulfari from Alabama, who is now a Nation of Islam economic consultant. Dr. Martino. Brother Olaminji from the Bobby Wright Foundation. Brother Olaminji. Brother Emmett Stovall. Where's Brother Emmett Stovall? Here he is. Glad to see you, brother. Brother Oscar Williams, who was the former president of Guarantee Bank when it was under the direction of the Nation of Islam, and now a financial consultant to the Nation of Islam, Brother Oscar Williams. We have our brother from Japan who is bringing to us representatives of Japanese industry so that we may have joint ventures with them and establish enterprise that will give jobs to our people in the inner cities. Brother Seiko Tajiri. Visiting from Sudan, Africa, Hanan Muhammad. Is Hanan? Here she is. Very happy to see you. We certainly enjoyed ourselves in Sudan. I'm telling you, if you really want to see beautiful people, brother, you just go to Sudan. In New York, you look at buildings. But when you go to Sudan, you look at people. Brother Jamil Muhammad and Captain Jeffrey X. Brother Jamil is the minister in Philadelphia. Brother Jeffrey X is the captain in Philadelphia. They came from Philadelphia accompanying our sisters from Philadelphia, Brother Jamil and Brother Jeffrey. We have from Sudan, Africa, Brother Abdul Saleh. Where's Brother Abdul? Where is he? I hear it. Way up top. Where? How are you, brother? We have Brother Brian Jackson from the We have from Sudan, Africa, Brother Abdul Saleh. Where's Brother Abdul? Where is he? I hear it. Way up top. Where? Where are you, brother? We have Brother Brian Jackson from the Chicago Defender and Nathaniel Clay from the Metro News. Nathaniel Clay, always glad to see you, Nate. We have the one and only, the incomparable, the unique, the matchless, Prince Asiel Ben Israel. And his companion and fellow worker for the kingdom of God, of the Hebrew Israelites, Brother Akiezer. One of the great pioneers in education, independent education in the city of Chicago, a scholar and a brother that seeks the liberation of black people here and all over the world, Brother Honorable Afrique. We have visiting us from Philadelphia, Sister Jamila Muhammad, and from Washington, D.C., Sister Stephanie Muhammad. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Thank you for coming. And now, and naturally to all of you who are here, let me ask you a question. You that heard Sister Louise and Sister Laverne, as you saw them with your eyes and heard them with your ears, how many of you believe that what they said today is the truth? Let's see your hands. All with you. Now, brothers and sisters, may I ask you this? If the city will not rebuild their house in Philadelphia, do you think that we as black people, in memory of John Africa and his contribution, ought to raise the money from around the country and embarrass the city of Philadelphia and build them a house? Huh? So that means, brothers and sisters, this is not just words. That's right. But the city says they can build it for $80,000 to $100,000. I don't think that we should let her not have her house built, that they have a vacant spot on that block to show their hatred for John Africa. We'll show our love for what he represents. A black man struggling against an evil system. We build a home, the John Africa home, in honor of a man that stood up and defied the odds. He's a hero to all of us. Oh yeah, anytime a man can withstand the cannon and the water and the bullets and the bombs and then die in blazing off inferno, where they're driving them back in the house when they're trying to get out. Oh, man, shoot. They ought to have a home in every city. Are you with me? Yes. All praise is due to Allah. I know it. And I know that black people all over America, when they hear the story that these sisters have to tell, they'll rise to the occasion. But brothers and sisters, let us not let these things be words. Let us follow the good word with the good action. All praise is due to Allah. So today, I'm going to ask of you, listen to me carefully, that we're going to take up a collection just to support the final call and what we're about. But then we want to take up something for the sisters and the family. Do you mind?
No, sir.
We want them to be able to retrieve the bodies of those that are still held and give them a burial that they themselves determine. They would appreciate our help, and we would appreciate it if you would help. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very, very much. Well, Brother Akbar, I'll turn the meeting over to you, and let's see if we can finish it in the next 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And after prayer is said, you don't have to rush away. Don't you think you'd like to shake the hands of your sisters? Encourage them? All right. Especially those of you in leadership. It's good that she meets you and know that we who have organizations behind us stand with them. Okay? That'll be on the 3rd floor right after prayer is said. May I thank you for this wonderful afternoon as I greet you in peace and turn you into the hands of Brother Akbar Muhammad, whom we are very happy to have back with us today. Brother Akbar will be lecturing on this Wednesday night on our trip, which was made by Brother Khalid, the Minister of Defense, Brother Akbar, my son Wallace, and Brother Musa Muhammad to, how many countries was it? About 9 countries. So this Wednesday, if you'd like to see the slides that tell you the story of what happened overseas, come on out Wednesday night. Won't be long, just about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. This coming Friday night will be a lecture by Sister Ava Muhammad. Where's Sister Ava Muhammad? She's on the 3rd floor somewhere. Oh, here she is. Let me step out here. I just want to say to our brothers from the East, you know, we think that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did the most to free women. But after the Prophet left, a lot of us in the name of the Prophet did a lot to put women back in some chains. Women are an integral part of the revolutionary movement for justice all over the world. And any religion or nation that will not recognize the value of a woman and what a woman can bring, not just to the home, but to government and to the society, is a backward nation and has to be brought up to date. Women must take their rightful place, not behind a man, but at the side of a man, for without her we would never have been, and without her we cannot be. And in reality the world is messed up because the balance that she brings to everything is not represented. And when the Quran says the believing men, the believing women, the sacrificing men, the sacrificing women, the charitable men, the charitable women, it puts the women right there with the men. And in the time of Prophet Muhammad, when the women were not allowed to fight, they dressed up like men just to get a chance to fight the enemies of Allah and Islam. Women are warriors. Right now in Africa, in Eritrea, young girls 16 and 18 years old have killed many people. Palestinians 10, 11, 12, 13. Nicaraguans 10, 11, 12, 13, young girls know how to break a rifle down, put it back together, and they're fierce warriors and dedicated killers of the enemy of their people. You can't subjugate a woman and relegate her to some jive position anymore, brother. The humanity of women is what is missing in a crazy, callous world, one run by greedy men who need a balance on them. Isn't that right? I know you don't like it, but it's right. Oh, a woman can't tell me nothing. What was your mother? She was a woman and told you plenty. And that's why the society is stunted today. Mothers are not respected. So, black woman, it's your day and ours too. Women must take their rightful place. Home is the base. But their influence must be felt in every sphere of human activity. So we thank Allah for Sister Ava, who is our attorney, administrative assistant, and a student of the Holy Quran, that she may impart the knowledge of the Quran and Bible to others. And I tell you, when this sister teaches, nobody sits down. When you ask how many want to join, everybody gets up. You almost put me out of a job here, brother. It's very difficult for a man not to accept a woman's voice, especially when she's stronger than he is. He's too ashamed to sit down when a woman talks as bold as these sisters talk. Do you think a woman like that just needs to cook? She was cooking today, wasn't she? No, I pray Allah that He bless me to live long enough to see our women honored and respected by our men, and honored and respected all over the world, that we show the world the way to honor and respect women, and pull women all over the world out from their hiding places, that they may let the world know that God is not unjust. He made wise men, but He made wise women. He made men who could see the future, but He made women who could see it too. And if you read all the stories in the Bible and Quran, they don't just talk about men who could prophesy. There were women there who had that same gift and that same power. So let's respect women. And when you respect women, you're really respecting yourself. So that's Friday?
Yes, sir.
Friday evening. Yes, sir? Yes, sir. Okay. So I turn you into the hands of Brother Akbar. We'll be finished in 10 minutes. Thank you. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. Let's hear it again for our two sisters and for John Africa and M.O.V.E. Let's all say together, long live John Africa.
Long live John Africa.
Long live M.O.V.E.
Long live M.O.V.E.
And may Allah bless us to recognize that M.O.V.E. is us, and us is showing up on the move.